do you guys
Kim,
want to work on?
what are you working on, sir?
Me?
I have one. Like,
Yes,
I
sir.
guess,
Tim. Oh, yeah, Roji, go ahead.
yeah, I kind of want to know how, because I know the script for expireds, but I just can't pass that first, you know, like, what the hell are you guys calling me? Like that barrier. So I can't really get into a good conversation. How do you guys like not even, it's not even an objection. It's, I guess, like, how do you guys start the expired?
The reflex no. It's the reflex no. So I think Jose is really good at this. Like,
Okay, so
hey, why are you guys calling? Why all these questions? I'm not interested right away, right?
Yeah. And they just like,
Yeah.
they don't even give me a chance to talk, and kind of trying to find a way to pass that.
So what I would say to that is, okay, so there's two different approaches, and I'm going to try both of them on you, Roji. All right, this is the first approach. Are you in? You're familiar with Zillow, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So, hey, Roji, this is Jose Morales. I'm calling you from Zillow. How are you?
I'm doing good. Is this about the property that I have? So I'm getting too much call.
Yeah. So no. Just you're not a client. You're an agent, right?
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
I know.
So just tell me what you feel whenever I say, or tell me what you start thinking when I say that. Okay. So, hey, Roji, Jose Morales, I'm calling you from Zillow. You're an agent. What are the first thoughts that come to your head?
That you're going to give me some leads.
They're going to give you some leads, or try to sell you some leads.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay. So, hey, Roji, this is Jose Morales with EXP. You're a client now. What are the first thoughts that start coming to your head? Or this is Jose Morales with the EXP, the real estate company. What are the first thoughts that start coming into your head?
Yeah, like real estate, realtor.
And what are they trying to sell me? Or another one of those things. So what I try to do is I try to build curiosity at the beginning.
Okay.
Instead of like a negative, like something. But I think what happens with most people is the same thing that happens when you hear the word Zillow. It's like, hey, Roji, Jose Morales with Zillow. You're like, fuck, it's Zillow again. They're trying to sell me another lead. It's not the fucking right timing. I'm in the middle of a phone call. You start going to this negative stage right away, which makes it harder to convert. So what worked for me a lot of the times is, hey, Roji, Jose Morales, I'm calling about your property on 123 Banana Street.
Yeah. What about it?
Okay. What about it, right? Which gives you a little bit of extra time to basically give your pitch. And it also gets past that little bucking stage where people start bucking right away. So what I usually tell people is try to build curiosity. Like, so if I were to call you, do you have any kids?
Mm-hmm.
I were to say, hey, Roji, I'm calling about your son, John, here at 123 Elementary Street.
Yeah. What did my son do?
What about my son? Like, you immediately, so it's building curiosity. So I think if you can find ways to build curiosity at the beginning of your introduction versus the negative connotation, which builds up a wall, it'll make it easier to get through that bucking stage.
So cut the, I'm from EXP, cut the local realtor, just go straight into, hey, I'm calling about your,
you can do it however you want. That's how I build curiosity. A lot of my calls is like, hey, I'm looking for John. Hey, John, Jose Morales, I'm calling about your property over on 123 Banana Street. Yeah, what about it? Yeah, the reason for my phone call is I noticed the property came off the marketplace recently and was just wondering, when do you plan on interviewing the right agent for the job of selling your home? Okay, in that messaging, do you get the point that I'm a realtor? 100%. Or hold on. Can you guys hear me or no? Is it like sounding, I just realized that.
Yeah, no, you're fine. You're good.
Oh, okay, good. Yeah. Yeah. So you guys got the messaging that I'm a real estate agent already, right? Like, meaning like in that message, there's no doubt that I would like, when do you plan on interviewing the right agent for the job of selling your property? There's no doubt that I'm a real estate agent. So I think at the very beginning of just finding ways to build curiosity. I'll give you another example. Let's say I'm doing a follow-up call, Roji, right? And I may say something like this. Hey, Roji, Jose Morales, I'm calling about your property on 123 Banana Street. Yeah, what about it? so I'm not sure if you remember me. We had spoken about your property about 6 months ago. You mentioned to me that you were looking to sell your home. Are you still looking to sell your property? Did you see how the not sure if you remember me? What does that do?
Curiosity.
Builds a little bit like, they're like, do I remember this guy? Was I nice to this guy the last time that I spoke with him? Is this somebody that I'm familiar with? Like, it builds a little bit of curiosity, which keeps them on the phone before they hang up. So my challenge to you is, like, is your introduction piquing any sort of curiosity?
Got it. Not sure if you remember me.
I loved saying, not sure if you remember me. It's like, do I remember this person? Was I nice to this person? Is this somebody that I've had good conversations with? Is this somebody that I haven't had good conversations with? You know, their brain just starts going like, and just the way I would think about it, just put yourself in the consumer shoes. Like, hey, Rogie, Jose Morales, I'm not sure if you remember me. You're like, what do you start thinking right away?
Who is this guy? Yeah.
Do I remember him? Have I talked to this person before? Have I had a good conversation with this person before? Did I hang up on this person before? Was I polite to this person? Was I not polite?
Okay.
And put yourself in the other shoe. And the other shoe is, hey, Rogie, this is Jose Morales. I'm calling you from Zillow. It's like, damn it. Man, like, it's another one of those agents. Boom. So a lot of times...
Rogie, why don't you try that on? Why don't you try a script with Jose right now, utilizing it's Rogie calling about 123 Banana Street, and just go into it. Try it on.
Or you can even try it with me, Rogie. Like, I can be the agent if you want. And we can do the intro, and you can like just see how I would handle an introduction.
Okay, so I'm a pissed off expired.
Yeah, you're a pissed off expired. Yeah.
Okay.
Ring.
Hello.
I'm looking for Rogie.
Yeah, speaking. Who is this?
Rogie, Jose Morales. I'm calling about your property over on 123 Banana Street.
Oh yeah, you're like the 50th guy that called me about the property. No, we're not gonna sell it right now.
Completely understand. So it sounds like you have no plan to sell the property at the present moment.
Yeah, for now, yeah.
Is it something you would still consider in the future, or is it plan to keep the property forever?
Well, we're just gonna put it on hold for a couple months. I mean, if you got a buyer, you can bring them in, but we're not gonna put it on the open market right now.
So not interested in relisting the property. Basically, if somebody brings you a buyer, you're open to selling it. If not, you're not going to be listing the property.
Right.
Got it. And just out of curiosity, Rogie, like, let's just imagine that I do bring you a buyer. Well, let's say I do have a buyer and I bring them to you. Once you eventually sell this property, is the plan to stay here locally, or are you planning on moving out of the area?
Well, we're going to move out of state, but again, appreciate the call, but we're not
Got it. Okay. So eventually going to move out of state. If I don't bring you a buyer, you're just going to hold on to it for right now.
Yeah.
Got it. And I guess I'm a little bit confused, Rogie. You've got a really nice home. It's in a great neighborhood. Obviously, you've got the crown molding. You have the cul-de-sac neighborhood. I guess I'm a little bit confused as to how come like it didn't sell. What do you think stopped the home from selling?
Well, I think the interest rate put a big effect to the home sale, because I know people are they're getting like 7%, 8% on the purchase. So I think timing wise, we missed it. We're probably going to wait till like midsummer to reconsider.
Got it. Okay. So you're thinking that it was the interest rates that caused it not to sell, basically.
Yeah. I think that's what they even told me too.
That's weird. So here's what I was going to ask you, because obviously, like, if you look on the market, Rogie, during the time that your property was listed, there was over 130 properties selling your price point. Obviously, that doesn't matter to you because your home wasn't one of them. But let me ask you this: like, if you knew, like, you really knew that you could still sell this property right now and not have to wait for summer and still get a number that you felt comfortable with, Is that something that you would be open to?
I mean, I would, but we didn't have any offers that was close to asking. So,
Yeah.
how are you gonna do that?
Yeah, so that's a really good question. So I'll be very transparent with you, Rosie. I don't call everybody whenever properties come off the market. I only call people that, based on what I see online, I know that I can help. I took a look at the way that your property was being promoted, and I feel that there's room for improvement. So my question to you is, if there was a different marketing approach that can get you the results that you wanted and get you sold, it sounds like you would want to hear about that. Is that right?
I mean, yeah, I would definitely want to hear about it. I mean, you can send over the email, and I'll take a look at your marketing, whatever package.
Can I make a recommendation to you?
Yeah.
So I'm not in the business of wasting people's time, Roji. I'm very direct. I'm very straight to the point. So here's what I was going to propose to you. I'm going to be in your area tomorrow around 3 or 5 o'clock. If you're open to it, what I can do is I can come by, take a look at your property, see what it has to offer in person. Number one thing I'll tell you is why the property didn't sell. Number two thing I'll share with you is what we need to do in terms of a proactive and aggressive approach to be able to get the property sold. So if we were to get together tomorrow, would 3 o'clock or 5 o'clock be better for you?
But tomorrow, I got to talk to my wife first. I don't want strangers over the house.
Yeah. Yeah. You mind me asking, like, how does your wife feel about which state are you guys considering?
We're going to go back to Hawaii.
You said back in Hawaii?
Yeah.
Congratulations. How does your family feel about the move? Are you guys excited, nervous?
We're excited. We were excited.
Okay. And let me ask you this. If you told your wife that you found an agent that says that they can sell your property without having to wait until summer, and all that would be required would be a different approach, how do you think she would feel about that?
Yeah, she would probably be excited about it.
Okay. So can I make a recommendation?
Sure.
Let's put her down tentatively for tomorrow at 3. It'll give you enough time to talk it over with your wife. If your wife is open to it, great. We can have the meeting. If for whatever reason she's not open to it, we can always cancel it or move it around to a different time. How does that sound?
Yeah, I guess that works.
Okay. Now, Roji, before we get together, I do have a couple of really important questions I need to ask you. I'm going to be doing a little bit of homework on your property, and I just want to make sure that I'm fully prepared and I can really be a best service to you. Is it okay if I ask them now?
Sure.
Okay.
Fuck, that was good. Let's just imagine, I really like that one. And I'm not in the business of wasting people's time. That was the first time I heard that one. But,
the other thing that you can use when people start bucking right away, because the way it was explained to me, imagine you're on a bull, right? If you're on a bull, I don't know if you've ever been on one. I have not, but I've seen it. But imagine you're on a bull. Okay, what's the hardest time on being on a bull? The first 15 seconds or 15 seconds afterwards?
the first 15.
15 seconds. That's all it is whenever you're cold calling. If you can keep the people on the phone for 15, 20 seconds, after that, a lot of times they open up. And keeping them on there has to do with mirror and matching energy, aligning with them, meaning saying things like you've got a beautiful home, or things that would align yourself with them, saying things like, I'm not in the business of wasting people's time, saying things like, hey, I'm calling you very professionally and respectfully, mirror and matching tonalities. So it's not just one thing. I think it's a combination of things. If you break down what I did, it was matching energy. It was the building curiosity at the beginning. It was, yeah.
I'm curious. Got it.
Does that help at all, or?
Yeah, a lot.
Try it on this week, man.
Hey,
Yeah.
Jose, Tim
Yes, sir.
had requested the buyer consult that you were going to do.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Shit. Trying to think of what's the best way for me to do it. Okay, so I'll go over the first step, and then I'll go over the second step. I'll pull out my laptop right now, and I'll go over the second step. All right. So this is kind of how we have our buyer's consultation. And the reason for the buyer's consultation is just to get very clear on what they're looking for, and also to like solidify, to get really clear on what they're looking for, to explain to them what the real estate marketplace is doing, and then to solidify your relationship as an agent. So it's basically like a 3-part listing presentation, almost like a listing presentation, like a Mike Ferry. They have the 1-minute presentation, they have the CMA presentation, and then they have like the close. It's the same thing in a buyer's consultation. That is just the framework of what you're using. So step 1, we're going to get very clear on what they're looking for. Step 2, we're going to set proper expectations. So whatever they tell us that they're looking for, we're going to review some homes online to be able to set proper expectations. And step 3, we're going to share with them how we work, which that is the close, basically. So if you guys are open to it, so this is how I would start off. So they come into the office. I usually start off my presentation just by saying thank you. So, hey, John, or who wants to role play this with me? Roji, you want to continue role playing, or somebody else maybe?
Or Tim? No, whichever.
Hey, Tim, you want to role play this?
Yeah, sure, Jose, for sure. Yep.
Okay.
Thanks for doing it.
Of course. So, hi, Tim. How are you?
Hi, Jose. I'm good. First, are we on the phone or Zoom, or what are we doing here?
We can do Zoom if you want, if that makes it like better, like
Yeah,
more
because
realistic.
we talked
But
about
it's
that being in person. So, okay, Zoom. All right, great.
Or
Hi,
no,
Jose.
we could do it in person if you guys want. So just so you guys know, like I have no preference. If the effectiveness of a buyer's consultation is very similar on Zoom as it is in person.
Sure.
And I usually just ask them what they prefer. Hey, look, we have 2 choices. You can come into the office and we can do like an in-person buyer's consultation, or 2, we can do it via Zoom. I'm open to either one, whichever one is better for you.
Let's do Zoom.
Okay. So hi, Tim. How are you?
Hi, Jose. Great. Thank you. Thanks. I'm looking forward to hearing from you. Thank you.
So I wanted to say thank you for taking the time to come on. I know that obviously you're extremely busy and that you have a lot of things going on. So I do want to say thank you. I did want to start off just by letting you know that the reason I like having these consultations with buyers is that it allows me to get very clear on what you're looking for, meaning my goal today is to really understand your goals and needs and wants. That way I can go out and help you find the right property. It also allows me to kind of give you like a real estate market update, let you know what is going on in the real estate market. Are prices going up? Are prices going down? What can we expect in the future? And then 3, I'll also be explaining to you how I work as well too, and the process that we use to help our buyers get the best property at the best price. Is that okay with you?
Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay. Now, before I get into the first part, I just want to let you know that some of the questions that I may ask you are a little bit on the personal side. Now, the reason I'm asking these questions, once again, is not to be nosy, more or less just to really get to know what your needs are and to be able to service you at a higher level. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's good.
Okay. So let's start off here. Like, would you describe your perfect home to me?
Sure. I need a 4-bedroom because I need a home office. 2-car garage minimum. I mean, prefer 3-car, 2,400 square feet, and it needs to be in a good school district somewhere in East County.
Okay. And then by saying East County, you mean like Simi Valley, Moore Park, or which cities?
I'd be open to Moore Park. I'd be open to Thousand Oaks or Westlake.
Okay. So Thousand Oaks, Westlake. Okay. And if you had it your way, like what would be your ideal city?
Well, I mean, Beverly Hills, say Thousand Oaks would probably be the most practical. I mean, that's the most logical place.
Okay, so Thousand Oaks would be the ideal place.
I think so,
Got
yeah.
it. Aside from Thousand Oaks, which other cities would you consider? Would you consider like Newbury Park? Would you consider Camarillo? Would you consider Ventura, Oxnard?
Yeah, no, I can't go down the grade because I have to get to LA on a regular basis. So I need to be somewhere either, closer to town or so I can take the coast. So I would say Westlake, maybe Agora. I know it gets kind of expensive there. Moore Park is a bit of a stretch, but it seems like a nice place. And I mean, maybe the west part of Simi Valley, like Wood Ranch or something.
Okay. And what budget are you? What's the ideal budget that you're looking?
We're looking around, 1.2.
Okay, perfect. And then, do you want it to be a single family residence? Are you okay with it?
Definitely
Okay.
single family. Yeah.
And then, do you care if it's newer construction, or are you okay with like 60s, 70s build? Any preference there?
Just as long as it's in decent condition. I don't mind doing some like little repairs, but I don't want to, I don't have the time to do a major remodel.
Okay. So move-in ready, basically, in other words.
More or less, yeah.
Got it.
Nice yard.
Got it. And then do you care if it has a pool? Is that a preference? Is that
Nah, I don't want it all pool. I need a yard for my dog, so.
Okay. So a yard for your dogs.
Yeah, don't have to have a pool.
Have you seen any neighborhoods or properties that have caught your attention recently?
Yeah, I've seen a couple things on Redfin that look pretty interesting. Like Suntree and Wood Ranch and Mountain Meadows and a couple. I mean, there's a few different neighborhoods. I'm fairly open. My wife likes good shopping nearby.
Got it. Do you happen to know the addresses to any of the properties that have caught your attention recently, or at least the streets?
Yeah, there was one over on Newbury Road that I saw, a little funky kind of cabin looking place. It was a little small, but it was kind of neat. That was kind of cool. I thought Country Club Drive was a nice street also.
What did you like about the cabin one?
I don't know. It was just kind of funky. Thought it was cool. I felt like, it looks like it's a cool area. I don't really know anything about it though.
Okay. And then, what about the Country Club Drive? What did you like about that one?
Well, that's newer, probably, I don't know, 30, 40 years old, something like that. Just being near the country club is kind of an attractive thing, for golf and stuff like that would be kind of fun for me.
Got it. And if you had it your way, like if you had to pick between one of those two, which one would you pick and why?
Oh, well, probably country club. I mean, the other one's just more of a curiosity.
Okay.
But yeah, so yeah, there's something. So I guess maybe you're asking about new or older. I suppose I probably would favor a little newer construction, maybe 80s or later.
What if it was fully remodeled?
Well, yeah, sure. Probably get a bigger lot, I imagine, huh?
Yeah. So the main thing is if it's fully remodeled, then you would be interested in that.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. Got it. And then what if it was a 3-bedroom versus a 4-bedroom, but it had a loft or like an extra living room or something like that could be converted into an office space?
Maybe. I mean, it's not my preference though.
Okay. Got it. Okay. And then this is the personal question side. You mind me asking who will be living at the property?
Oh, it's going to be me and my wife and my 2 kids and Larry, my dog.
Okay. So that's why you need the 4 bedrooms, because obviously your 2 kids will take one of the bedrooms and the 4th one will be your office space.
That's right. Yeah.
And then which neighborhood do you live in right now?
Well, we're renting over in Woodland Hills right now.
Okay.
We really want to get out to the schools because the kids are getting to that age,
Okay. And would you be able to share with me the address of the property that you're living in right now by any chance? And just so you know, the reason I asked this is it just allows me to kind of see where you live at right now, which allows me to kind of see patterns.
Yeah, sure. I'm on 12345 Mulholland Highway.
Okay. Yeah, and what do you like about this property, and what don't you like?
Well, it's busy streets. My kids can't really go out in front too much, but it's convenient. I can get to the west side via the coast fairly quickly, so I have a couple of options. When I do have to go to town.
Got it. Okay, and then you mind me asking, like, which city do you work in right now?
Well, I'm a little all over because I go to clients' offices, but a lot of them are in West LA, Marina Del Rey, Santa Monica. So the coast, having access to the coast is convenient, but I don't have to go that way. I mean, it's not always the best.
Okay, and then is Woodland Hills one of the cities that you would consider as well too, or no?
Not really, because we really want to get settled for the kids in a better school district. Want to get out of LAUSD. My daughter went to kindergarten, and yeah, I know I look a lot older, but my wife's only 30. So yeah, second time around.
I love it. Okay, and then you said one of your kids is in kindergarten. What about the other one? What's their age right now?
They're 4, so they're going to be heading into like pre-K. So yeah, we're definitely.
So it's like the perfect timing for you, basically.
Yeah,
in other words, to make
absolutely.
this because they get to start off in a different school district, and you're not like transitioning them from one place to another, basically, or at least not at an age where they're like in the middle of elementary or middle school.
We've done this before, yeah, and you're right, 100%.
Got it. I love it. Okay, and then what about your wife? Where does she work?
She doesn't. She stays at home.
Okay. Got it. So somewhere close to the freeway would be ideal. So ideally versus Moore Park, Thousand Oaks, Newberry Park would probably be a preference, basically.
I mean, yeah, sure. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Got it. Okay. And then aside from like what's bringing you guys, I know the school district, is there an ideal school district that you guys have looked into or that you guys would like to be in?
I mean, everything. They're all good. So I look at the elementary to make sure that it's a strong elementary school, but really all the schools are I'm open to pretty much any of those schools. Believe me, they're a big improvement from LAUSD. So,
Yeah.
I mean, whatever the budget will allow.
And is there a specific one that you've looked into that has caught your attention the most, or are they kind of all the same because they're all pretty good out here?
They're all pretty good. We're really fairly open. It's about the combination of, the location and the home size. I know if we go farther out, we get a little more home. But that's not as important as the whole package. We just want a nice location. I heard that you're supposed to say location. So I'm trying to, follow that rule.
Basically the best location. Okay. Got it. And then lot size, do you care about that at all?
I mean, I don't want like half an acre or anything like that. I don't have time for anything like that. But, I mean, a nice yard for the kids to play in. Like I said, I need something for Larry, the dog.
Got it. Okay. So something got it. Anything else that you think would be important? Or here, one more thing. Let me ask you this, like siblings, parents, activities that the kids would do, things that you guys like to do for fun.
Yeah, well, parents are my parents are out of area. My wife's parents, they live in LA.
Okay.
So they would come, it's far enough away though that, I mean, that's another reason to have that 4th bedroom because if my mother-in-law comes to stay, she might stay for several nights to help out my wife, if I've got a big project or something. So that extra room is pretty key.
Do you have any friends or colleagues that live in Ventura County?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I do. One of my buddies, Tom, he's an IT guy, and he just he says Thousand Oaks is amazing, and that's where I want to be.
Which neighborhood does he live in, just out of curiosity?
He's over in Lang Ranch. It's kind of near Westlake. He doesn't have a big lot though, but I mean, he likes the neighborhood.
What are your thoughts on Lang Ranch?
It's okay. That lot was a little tight, so I mean, I'd like probably a little bit more land, but I know there's some other areas over there that have bigger lots. I just don't know if I can, if the budget's going to work. I have a little play on that, but
Got it. Okay, perfect. Anything else that you think I should know that would help me in your quest of helping you find the right property?
Well, school, of course, is starting soon. My lease is up in July, end of July. So basically, the sooner we can find something, I mean,
The better.
yeah, the better. Yeah.
Do you have any preference if it's a single story or a 2-story?
I mean, a single story would be ideal because unlike my wife, I'm not 30. So, I would probably welcome a single story, but it's not essential. It keeps me in shape. I gotta keep in shape for her.
Got it. How do you see? Do you see this like a forever home? Do you see yourself just starting off in this property? Like, what are your goals for the property?
I mean, forever, I don't think so. I mean, I would certainly hope that over time, we'd be into, we'd love to be in Westlake. We'd love to be in a state. I have to hit a couple home runs in business for that to happen. So I don't think that we're going to be necessarily here forever, but certainly for the next 5 years plus.
5+ years. And is this like a first time home purchase for you, or have you been a homeowner before?
Well, it's the first time in this relationship. I owned homes prior with my previous spouse.
Got it. Okay. You mind me asking which neighborhoods the other properties were in?
Yeah, we were mostly in the San Fernando Valley. So we lived in Woodland Hills, Tarzana. I was in Encino for a while, a really nice house in Encino, but, ended up, quite honestly, ended up losing that in the Great Recession. So,
Got it.
kind of started over.
This may be too personal, and you may be like, well, why is Jose asking me this? A lot of times when I'm able to see where people have lived in the past, I'm able to ask for feedback about things that they like and things that they didn't like. Would you be able to kind of share with me like the street or the address for the Encino property by any chance?
Yeah, we were up in Royal Oaks there and had a really pretty spectacular view of the valley. That house had, it had the pool, it had everything. It was a really nice house. It was a bummer, but anyway, yeah. So I mean, but I recognize that some of those things are that was then and this is now, and we're rebuilding to a certain degree, which is why we've been renting in Woodland Hills.
Yeah. If you had to pick between the Encino house or the house that you live in right now, which house would you pick?
Oh, the Encino house for sure. Yeah, I mean, it's a rental. Like I said, it's on a busy street, so it just fit the needs at the time. But now we've got the 2 kids, and we didn't have them when we first moved in together.
Okay, perfect. All right, so I think I have enough information on the first section of it, just so you know, Tim.
Sure.
And you're probably like wondering, this is kind of what I'm looking for. Just so you know, in the first section, I'm looking for patterns. My belief is that people buy in patterns, meaning like, I'll give you an example. If you ask my dad, if you were trying to sell my dad an investment property and you asked him, what properties does my dad own? My dad would tell you, I own a duplex in Oxnard. I own a triplex in Oxnard. I own a 4-plex or 2 4-plexes in Oxnard and another triplex in Oxnard. Where do you think my dad is likely to buy if you want to sell him?
I'm going to take a wild guess and say Oxnard.
Probably, right? And if you had a choice between a single family or a multifamily, what do you think he would buy?
I think he's looking for doors.
Yeah, 100%. And people buy things that they're familiar with. So the more information that I can collect in, the more I can start to be like, okay, do I recognize any patterns?
I see.
So sometimes, like, I'll give you an example. I had a client that was like, oh yeah, I'm open to all of Ventura County. And those are the hard ones when they're like, I'm open to all of Ventura County. I'm open to this. They've got a pretty big budget. But then I started asking him, like, where do you live now? Where did you live before that? And where did you live before that? And I noticed a pattern that every single one of them was newer construction. Every single one of them. It was like 1990s plus, year 2000 plus. What do you think he bought?
Something similar.
Something similar. The other thing that I look for is I try to find out, like, okay, things like where do they work, where do they have activities, where do their friends live, where do the parents live as well too. Because a lot of times, if you can find out things like that, people will move to communities that they're familiar with already, basically. So I'll give you an example. Like 2 of my cousins bought in a certain area in South Oxnard when they were buying, and they raved about those neighborhoods. Where do you think I bought?
South Oxnard.
South Oxnard, right around the block from them. So The other thing that you're able to pick up on these things is like, if like for example, if they work to a certain location, if you're able to understand these things, now you're able to think like them when you're showing them the property. So instead of being like, oh, great, the 3-bedroom, 2-bath, you could be like, look, the positive of this home is that you're 5 minutes away from the freeway, which means if you're going to Redondo Beach or Marina Del Rey, this will be the fastest access. Hey, look, the positive about this is that you have the 123 school district here, which is the highest ranking school district here in Ventura County. Now you're selling based on whatever is important to them. Here is the goal. And here is when you stop asking questions in this section. The goal is to close your eyes and based on all of the questions that you've asked, can you envision the neighborhood that they're looking in? And can you envision the type of property that they would buy?
Interesting.
That would be the goal. If you can't envision the property that they would buy, or if you can't envision the neighborhood that they would buy, you haven't asked enough questions. Does that make sense?
That's really interesting. I mean, I sure, let's go meet at 123 Banana Street. And there's a couple other that are like it. Let's go look at those while we're out. It's typically how I would handle it. So that's really interesting that you dig that deep and try and understand those patterns.
I'll tell you this, Tim, a lot of times when we have buyers consultations, and agents that work at my company will attest to this, a lot of times when the buyer walks out, I tell them they're going to be buying in this neighborhood, or they're going to be buying in that neighborhood right there. I'll give you another example. I did a buyer's consultation. This buyer had wrote 3 offers with other agents. They weren't able to get their offers accepted. I asked them where they wrote offers, which neighborhoods they wrote offers in. I found a pattern. Every single one of them was in Marina West in Oxnard. Where do you think they ended up buying?
Marina West and Oxnard.
Marina West and Oxnard. So if you do this right, you'll be able to visualize what they're looking for, and you'll be able to make the home buying process a lot simpler and a lot smoother. I'm not saying that doesn't mean that some buyers are going to be like, oh, can I go take a look at this property, or can I go take a look at this property? They may still say those things, but you'll know where they're very likely to end up. We had another client, their parents lived in a certain neighborhood. They bought a house 3 doors down from them because the parents helped them with the children.
Sure.
Got it? Okay. So that's the goal. If at the end of the presentation, you can't close your eyes and visualize the type of neighborhoods that they're going to be in, there's some more digging. Now, here's the 2 things. Number 1 is asking really good questions. And number 2, in order for you to do that, you have to know your neighborhoods and you have to know your product. Meaning, now that I know your needs, if I don't know the neighborhoods and what the neighborhoods have to offer, I'm very likely not going to be able to make that connection. So it's a true 2-pronged approach. I had a client that was, I'm only looking in Ventura. I'm looking for newer construction. We go into the second part, which I'll go into right now, and I pitch a different neighborhood in Oxnard to them. I pitched Victoria Estates. They ended up buying in Victoria Estates because what they were looking for in the budget that they were looking for wasn't appropriate to Ventura. But in Victoria Estates, it was so close to Ventura because you could take Victoria right there, and that was a perfect match for them, basically. But they didn't want to buy in Oxnard because they thought it was hood. Now, the thing about that neighborhood is that it's gated, it's newer construction, and it's maybe 10 minutes away from Ventura. So, okay. Now, this is the second part of the thing. So my challenge to you guys is get to know your inventory, get to know what different neighborhoods have to offer, and have a really good consultation where you understand their needs. The second part of the presentation is where you start showing them properties. So this is the second part. So this is how it transition. Great. So by now I have a pretty good idea of what you're looking for. I'm going to show you a couple of properties on my computer, and I'm going to be asking you for feedback just to see what your thoughts are on these properties, what you like about them, and what you don't like about them. Is that okay with you?
Sure.
This is the second part of the presentation. The second part of the presentation, I'm getting direct feedback from them on properties that they like. The other thing that I could be doing on the second part of the presentation is I could be setting expectations. So I'll give you an example, and I'm not going to role play this. I'm going to give you a couple of examples, and then we can role play if you want. So Jaime and I had a client who came to us. We had the buyer's consultation, and in his buyer's consultation, he said that he was looking around 550 for a single family home in Oxnard. So what did I do? I'm like, okay, look, so I'm pulling up the MLS. I'm going to pull up everything active in Oxnard that's a single family residence at 550. And then I show them, and it shows 0 active properties. And then I pull up, okay, like, let me see if there's any pending. Okay, there's 2 pending. Now, here's what I want you to pay attention to. The 2 properties that say pending, they say cash only. Meaning, unless we're planning on purchasing it in cash, it's very unlikely that we're going to be able to compete against some of the cash buyers. But let me increase the price. Let me increase it to 650 instead. Okay, now that we've increased it to 650, 3 properties show up. Now, you mentioned to me that you're looking for a 4-bedroom. All of these properties are 2 bedrooms. Let me increase it to 750. Just so you can see, at 750, now there's 3 bedrooms and 4 bedrooms properties. So basically what I told them, I'm like, look, just so you know, like, if we're going to want a 3-bedroom or a 4-bedroom, we're going to have to be in the $750,000 price range based on what you've described to me. If you're okay with a 2-bedroom, then the 650 range would be okay. But if you're saying, Jose, I only want to look in the 550 range, I'd rather be completely transparent with you right now and just let you know that is the odds of that happening are like 0%, basically, just based on what I see.
So then in that scenario, I might say something like, well, is there, because I can't go to 750, Jose. I mean, what would you recommend I do? Is there like a townhome that might, is there any place that's like a townhome that might have a yard?
Yeah. So now we start shifting to townhomes and we start shifting to different cities. Or in some cases, this is another dialogue that I'll use. So I'll say something like, let's say that it's a very low inventory market. I'll be like, look, you mentioned to me that you're looking under 650. Now, just to let you know, like under 650, there's 2 properties. Now, you're probably thinking, well, Jose, I see a bunch of signs. And if I look on Zillow, I see like 20 properties active on the marketplace. Why are you only showing me 2? Here's the reason. If you click on it pending and active under contract, it shows 25 properties in escrow and only 2 of them are active. And the 2 that are active have only been on the market for less than 10 days. So what does that tell me? It tells me that price point of 650 is very, very competitive and that properties are selling extremely, extremely fast. Meaning, more than likely, we're going to be up against other offers and more than likely, we're going to be competing against other people. Now, if you look at the ones that are pending, you'll see that the original price was 650 and then it looks like they modified the price to 680. That means that one went into escrow at 680 and it went up in a bidding war from 650 to 680. Now, I want to be transparent with you, which is why I'm sharing with you all the ones that are pending. What this means is that when you're driving around certain neighborhoods, most of the properties that you're going to be looking at are going to be in escrow already. And there's going to be a very few amount that are going to be active. Here's what I would propose. If you drive around, instead of calling the sign or the number on the sign, call me and I'll look into those properties for you because there's a very good chance that those properties are going to be in escrow, but I can find out all the 411 for you. What am I doing right there? I'm setting expectations as well too, as to why they're going to be able to see other properties on Zillow and most of them are going to be in escrow basically already.
And making sure that they contact you directly rather than going to the listing agent.
Yeah. And then like, here's another one. Like, let's say that they're looking for 1.2, they're looking in Thousand Oaks, they're looking for single family residences. And let's say that there's plenty of inventory. Let's say that there's 20 properties under 1.2. So what I would do is I would just get feedback on them. All right. Well, look, this property is located here. What are your thoughts on this location? What are your thoughts on this property? What do you like about it? What don't you like about it? Okay, great. What are your thoughts on this next property? What do you like about it? What don't you like about it? What are your thoughts on this location? If you had to choose between this one or that one, which one would you choose and why? And I'm going down the list asking them for feedback. And then if for whatever reason the inventory is not where it needs to be, then I'm basically going out to other cities. Like for that buyer, I may say, well, look, would you be open to townhomes or a condo? No, I would not. Okay, would you ever consider a city like Santa Paula or Fillmore? Hey, would you ever consider instead of Thousand Oaks, Simi Valley? You know?
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm going down the list. What do you like about this property? What don't you like about it? But at least this way, you're giving them like a very clear picture as to what's available, what's not available, what are the dynamics in the marketplace. Like, so when it was 2021 and there was bidding wars everywhere, I would say to people like, look, I would show them properties of everything that sold, and I would show them the original asking price and the sold side price. I would say, look, this is what it was listed for. This is what it sold for. This is what it listed for. This is what it sold for. So I would be setting expectations that they're going to have to be involved in that more than likely they're going to be involved in a multiple offer situation. And I was preparing them to offer more than asking price if they really like something. Do you think that made it easier when it came that time to submitting offers?
Sure.
Do you think that made it so that they beat their head less against the wall because they weren't out there like, oh, I want to offer like 20,000 below the asking price? No, their expectations were in line, which means that it made it easier.
Right.
Now, here's another example that I did. I'll give you, let me see if I can share my screen. So here's another example. Hold on, let me pull something up. So here's another example. Recently, somebody said, well, like, I only want to buy in this price range. And if I don't buy in this price range, I'm just going to wait. Right? You might get that, correct?
Sure.
Okay. So I basically went into my stat sheet. So let me show you something. So I pulled up my market stats. This is all part of the second part of the consultation.
These market stats, Jose, are you just opening up the MLS and pulling something, or do you have something else that you're tracking, another document or spreadsheet or something?
Let me know if you can see this. Hold on. Can you guys see my screen or no?
Yep. All good.
Yeah.
Okay.
So where did this come from?
This is just stats that we have. I've been so one of the things that I did, Tim, is I hear things in the marketplace like, oh my God, like the market's going to crash, right? And I hear things on the news that the market's going to crash. And I got tired of hearing that over and over again and not knowing how to determine that. So it would lead to a lot of internal fear for me. Like, meaning like people would say the market's going to crash on CNN. I'd be freaking out. So what I did is I went back and I did a bunch of homework. So let me kind of show you something. This is the absorption rate. Absorption rate means how many months supply of inventory there is in a marketplace, right? So if you look at Camarillo for May of 2024, it says 1.87 months supply of inventory, meaning for every buyer, there's less than 2 sellers. So I wanted to be able to compare that to when the marketplace was crashing. So whenever somebody tells me, well, I'm going to wait for the marketplace to crash, I basically go over some market stats with them. I'm like, well, look, you can definitely wait for the marketplace to crash. I'm going to share with you some information that I think would help you make a better decision and will allow you to see where we're at in the marketplace. Okay. So right now, I'm going to be going over something called an absorption rate with you. And do you know what an absorption rate is? Or do you know what month supply of inventory is?
I do, but let's say I know, I don't. Okay.
So month supply of inventory means that for every buyer, how many sellers are there in the marketplace? 1.87 in Camarillo or 3.14 in Oxnard means that, oh man, I didn't realize it got up that high. 3.14 in Oxnard means that for every buyer, there's 3.14 sellers in the marketplace. Now, a lot of people, like whenever you hear like there's low supply or high supply, what does that even mean? What I would propose that the most important metric in real estate is month supply of inventory. Because if there's high supply but high demand, Does that make it a good time, like a seller's market or a buyer's market?
The seller's market.
If there's low supply and low demand, does that make it a buyer's market or a seller's market?
Buyer's market.
Well, it could be a balanced market if it's low demand and low supply.
It could be a balanced market, right? So the most important metric is how many months supply of inventory there is. The higher that number, the more of a buyer's market that we're in. The lower that number, the more of a seller's market that we're in. So let me take you back in history. Okay. So let's look at 2021. How many months supply of inventory we had? So right now we have 3 point blank. Do you remember people saying that there was multiple offers everywhere? Look, for every buyer, there's 1.1 sellers. That is considered a seller's market. Now let's go back to 2009, 2008, and 2007, just so I can show you what the inventory was like back then. So a lot of people are hoping for a real estate crash, right? Let me show you what the inventory would have to get to in order for there to be a real estate crash. Look at how many months supply of inventory we're at.
Yeah, that's a lot of months to absorb all that inventory.
So what that means is that
Year and a half.
For every buyer, there is 16 homes for sale. Look at the date, July 2008. Look, 18 months supply of inventory. Now look, we go back to 2005 and you see 2.14, 2.07. And then what you start seeing is that number increase. See 3.19, 3.33, 3.26, 3.81. Then it crosses the 5 mark, the 5 month supply of inventory. Once it goes there, it goes to 5.6, 6.7, then it keeps going to 9. Now let me show you from 2012 to 2020. So if you notice, it starts going down to 7.66. And then let me show you in 2012. Look at what starts to happen in the inventory in 2012. It starts to go down. And when did prices start to increase? Right around December of 2012. Look, 2.96. And then the inventory has hovered anywhere from 2 to 4.5 or less than 5 months supply of inventory. Or look, it's been a couple months at 5.19. And then you kind of notice. So what I would say is, like, knowing this allows you to be able to explain to people where we're at in the, like, if there's really going to be a real estate crash. So in order for there to be a real estate crash, like the inventory, the ratio between supply and demand has to get more on the buyer side. In my market, right around that 5 number, or even at 3, you start to feel it where it becomes more of a balanced market, or even 4 months supply of inventory, it starts to become a buyer's market.
Right.
Where buyers are able to negotiate great deals, great prices. There's stuff that's sitting basically. So by looking at this, I'm knowing that the inventory is increasing, which means that, like, I can negotiate a little bit more for this client. But I have stats like that. I have stats like foreclosures. So in order for the inventory to increase, like, we have to look at, like, okay, what's going to cause inventory to increase, right? Like, what's going to make it so that inventory increases? These are all the foreclosures that are in Ventura County. Can you guys see my screen still?
Yeah.
3.99. Let me take you back to 2008, 2009, 2011. Look at how many foreclosures there were in August 2009. 1,300, 1,600, 1,700, 1,700. So what caused the inventory to increase? There was financial distress, meaning people were starting to get behind on their payments. So, and then you start noticing this. Look, you start noticing the foreclosures increase, basically. So you start noticing, like, look, 2006, foreclosures are not that high. 244, 225, 207, 259. 147, 196. And then you start noticing that this number starts to increase over time. What that tells me is that there's financial pain. So in order for our inventory to increase, you start noticing like certain leading indicators, like foreclosures increase. But let me ask you this. Do you think that if you share these stats with people and share kind of like, okay, like in order for the marketplace to crash, this would need to happen. This is where we're at right now in the marketplace. I'm not saying it's not going to crash, but something would have to change in order for that. Do you think that would wake them up a little bit and be like, oh shit, like the market's actually different than what I thought it was?
Yeah.
Do you think this would help you set better expectations with people?
Sure.
So this is all the setting expectations portion of it. So remember, one is understanding their buyer needs. Number two, you start going into like market. What is the market doing? What are the different expectations? What can we expect? And then three is how we work, basically. And then how we work is just a very simple close. Great. So, Tim, I'm going to spend a lot of time. I'm going to spend a lot of energy. I'm going to invest a lot of resources into helping you find the right property. In other words, I am 100% committed to helping you find the right property at the right price. Now, because I am going to spend a lot of time, a lot of energy, and a lot of resources, the only thing that I ask from you in return is that same 100% commitment that we're giving you. Now, the way we work is we work on an exclusivity basis, meaning I am 100% committed to you and you are 100% committed to me in order for this to work out. Now, in order for us to enter into this relationship, it does require that we take care of some paperwork. That paperwork allows me to represent you on the purchase of your home, and it also allows me to look out for your best interest, and it also allows me to start helping you find the right property. Are you okay with that?
Yes.
And then I start explaining the paperwork at that point.
Mm-hmm.
But that's my transition. And not in those exact words, but it's somewhere similar to that. But if you can follow this framework, it's kind of like, okay, get to know their needs, set proper expectations, and then you close basically at the end of it. So I think that if you follow this framework, you'll be able to show less properties, make the process more efficient, and also get to know what they're looking for better. I also think that you'll come across more professional and that they will basically be more likely to sign up with you because the other buyer's agents don't have any sort of presentation. Now, if they're not like, now my thing is, if they're not like, oh, we're ready to sign up, then at that point, I may go over a plan of action at that point. Well, look, if you're not ready to sign up, what I like to do before you go is I'd like to go over my plan of action as to what I'm going to do to help you find the right property. Now, the reason I want to go over this is I want to make sure that if you go out and you talk to other agents, you know what our process looks like and you know how we can help you find the right property.
And that's when you go into off markets, coming soon.
That's what we'll go into all that. Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
but I only go into that if basically like I'm not getting a contract signed, or I may go into it at the very beginning if for whatever reason I feel like I need to build a little bit of rapport with them or something like that. I may be like, hey, look, like I know you were hesitant to meet with me. Here's a couple of examples of a couple of things that I'm going to do to help you find the right property.
Because that's going to then lead into the buyer broker, right? And the 2.5% or whatever you agree to charge.
To be honest, like I'll tell you this, Tim, on a listing presentation, I probably go into the plan of action. Maybe like, it doesn't mean I don't show them samples of our marketing. I go into it maybe like once, maybe like 4 out of 10 times, meaning most of the time you won't even need to present that.
Right.
Most of the time, if you just do the 3 steps, it'll be good.
Right. Well, but with the new agreements, right, we have to then cross into, now we have to explain how we're paid and et cetera. And
yeah, but that
building that
over a whole plan of action presentation just because you have to explain how we're paid.
Right.
That doesn't mean that you have to go into that whole thing because that's like a completely different presentation, you know?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I think it's adding a lot of value up front. Like I said, I don't normally haven't done buyer presentations. It's like, I'll meet you at the property. Let's talk. Thanks. I'm so glad you like Sally's house because I'll get you one just like it, kind of thing. And that's going to change because we need to do these a more listing presentation style for the buyers if we're going to justify getting paid, 20, 30, 40, $50,000 for, 10,000, whatever it is to sell somebody a house where they didn't necessarily think about that before.
I think it's I think that the main purpose for doing them is not even to justify why you're getting paid that much. It's more or less to make the process more enjoyable for the consumer. That's what I think. Because that's the reason we've been doing them since 2012, 2013, to make the process more enjoyable for the consumer.
Well, that's interesting because that's really, isn't that what Amazon does, right? It's just so easy. Such a pleasure to go in. I need batteries. Bing, 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 done.
Yeah. And that's the reason we were able to do that. The reason we were able to help people find the right properties is because we made the process more enjoyable for them. We made it more simpler for them. We set proper expectations. We really understood their needs and what they were looking for. Does that make sense?
Yeah. No, it's great. Helpful.
Is your team signing buyer broker agreements right now?
One of them, Sam is. I don't think Jaime or Joel are, but Sam is. But to be honest, Jaime is making the transition more to a listing agent as well too. So he's kind of starting to work with more and more sellers, basically.
Right.
Brilliant presentation, Jose. Thank you. Thank you.
Very
Any
helpful.
last insight for the audience today, Jose?
No, I would just ask if this was helpful to people.
100%.
Yeah, it was great. Haven't seen it before. We usually talk about listings and objections and prospecting, but this is a different angle, and I think it's going to become even more important going forward because there's going to be agents that aren't going to be able to justify their value or offer a value, and they're not going to get the buyer broker signed.
Yep, exactly. So guys, this will be on YouTube on Aaron's channel. So feel free to go back, study it. And if you have orders, you already have all the text transcription. Guys, get back here next week. I think Aaron will be back. Jose, thank you for today.
Thank you, Jose.
Great job.
Thank you.
Really great job.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
guys.
Take care.
Bye.